Hashtag sorry not sorry, man. Freaking mermaid splash zone. Yay. We got this. Courtney Mermaid here, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking quickly about a very important topic, something that you guys ask me all the time: how to find other mermaids to swim with. So yeah, this is something that you guys ask me all the time and want to know: where to find a pod to swim with, who is out there, where can I find them, are there mermaids in my area, what can I do? So if you're in like a more remote area and you're like, okay, well, it's not like I'm just gonna go to my local pool and hope that there's mermaids there. Or in some cases, maybe you don't even have a pool to swim at, so what are the chances of actually running into another mermaid, am I right? I would recommend doing a Google search. A lot of the questions that I'm actually asked, and this is not in any way to sound like, oh, you should just Google it, because I love when you guys ask me questions, you know that. However, for things like this, instead of hitting me up, because I'm not, you know, I'm not in all the different places in the world and I don't have access to all the different groups. I'm sort of part of the BC Mermaid pod and like the Vancouver Mermaid pod, and Canadian Mermaids, we're kind of doing our thing. But Google search, that's the thing. Look up maybe the name of your city and mermaids, or the name of your country and mermaids. Maybe your province, your state, whatever you got, and mermaids. Get a little bit creative. You can look for mermaid schools, you can look for mermaid classes, look for mermaid pods. Using a couple of different keywords will help sort of narrow it down for you, and that'll kind of get the ball rolling. So now, of course, there are more specific areas that you can look for mermaid groups as well. You can hit up the Mer Network forum. I'm not really super active on there anymore. I was for a while. It's not quite my sort of scene. Nothing against people who like to hang out over there. It's totally cool, you do you. Next, I would also recommend looking for Facebook groups. I put this sort of third because usually you'll find something like if you searched, if you're in the Vancouver area and you wanted to find like me and my group, you look for Vancouver Mermaid, you would find my website. My website would take you to BC Mermaid Pod, and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, and away we go. So that's the easy way to go. Mer Network is pretty self-explanatory. It's easy to access, to join, to meet other people. Next is Facebook. Not everybody's on Facebook, but there are a lot of mermaid Facebook groups, a lot of different ways, some public, some private, depending, but you will be able to find even the tail makers. This is another great one. So if you have a mermaid tail, see if your tailmaker has a group. Like I've got a group for Shop Vancouver Mermaid customers and clients and just mermaids as well. I know that the Mertailer has one, Finfolk has one. So if you have, you know, a product or something that gives you access to their private groups, you can go that way and be like, hey, are there any other Mertailer, you know, tail mermaids out where I am, or like Finfolk, or like whatever. So, you know, that's another option. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this? So it's all about knowing what words to search for. You want to look for like a mermaid group, you want to look for a mermaid club, you want to look for mermaid school or mermaid lessons, in this specific way with your city name, the area in which you live. That's going to be your best bet to start. There are going to be times when there just aren't groups around and you're like, oh, there really isn't anybody here, huh? That being said, you have no idea if there's anybody else that might be in your area who's like, gee, I really wish there was a group. You might need to take it upon yourself to start the group. You might need to be like, okay, well, persons A, B, C, D, the works, they all want to swim, but there's not like anybody just could have taken the reins and saying, okay, let's get a swim group going. Let's get, you know, a Facebook group going. Let's, you know, make a web page or something. So you might have to take it upon yourself to be the one to do that. And that's totally fine. So start a group yourself, get the word out there, be like, okay, mermaids in, you know, this area. If you want to meet up, going to be having a little hangout, pick your location, make sure it's safe, make sure that you're safe. Obviously, I'm going to give my little safety disclaimer spiel in just a second, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be very exciting. But yeah, so sometimes you might have to be like the one who starts. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So safety disclaimer before I get into the next portion of this video. I want to say, while our community is a very wonderful community for the most part, lots of good eggs, there are going to be really nasty people out there who take advantage of mermaids, who are really inappropriate, and you need to protect yourself as a mermaid. So if ever something doesn't feel right to you, if somebody like DMs you and sends you something and you're like I'm never afraid to block somebody. I'm sorry, your profile pic and your Instagram handle, hey baby, I'm sorry, a block. No. No, I have no fear of this, okay? I will block you for, I don't want to be like douchey or anything, but if you are inappropriate, even a little bit, you're done. I don't really give second chances for that kind of creepy behavior. That's not really how I roll, you know what I'm saying? So that's always something you're gonna have to remember. If you are under this sort of legal age, make sure you have your parents' permission. Make sure you, even if you are, you know, like I'm 32 and I still let people know. If I'm gonna be out with people who I haven't met before, I'm like, okay, you know, Ma, Eric, Kim, like I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be doing this, I'm gonna be with this person. This is what I'm wearing. You know, I don't want to be like fear mongering here or trying to scare you out of, you know, possibly meeting your next best friend. Like I don't want to do that either. But there are kooky people out there, and because mermaiding, you know, we swim around pretty much half naked. Most of the time we're in like little tops and we're trying to look beautiful, and it's a little bit more of like that kind of vibe can attract some weirdos. So just being aware of the weirdos, I feel like is one step closer to just a nice, safe, positive experience for everyone. So that's my little safety disclaimer. Make sure you're not giving out like hugely personal information out there to just anybody on the internet. I know I sound like such a mer mom, and if one more person calls me mer mom, that's just gonna become like part of my brand, I swear. But yeah, so that's an important thing to remember. Next, I want to talk about something, I hope it's not going to be touchy, but it is part of what happens when groups collide and new groups are formed and things. So when you're joining a new group or you're forming a new group, it's really important to observe those common niceties and decencies and things that just make humans okay to be around other humans. Do you know what I'm saying? Mermaids, humans, the works, the group, you know what I'm saying. So not everyone is necessarily going to get along, but there's a difference between treating somebody like garbage just because you don't agree with them necessarily. You can still disagree with somebody and not be, you know, a jerk about it. I feel like I need to say that just a little bit. It's really important to be respectful of other MERS. It does not mean that you have to like hang out with them and become best friends forever. If you don't like somebody, it's okay not to want to spend time with that person. It's okay. But don't be like, set a nice example. Like, it's nice to be nice. You know, maybe that person's going through some things. Maybe they have a reason for being the way that they are and that kind of thing, right? Just as you do too. So important to remember. I think the biggest, most important thing that kind of goes along on the coattails of that one, that last thought, just because, please don't throw things at me, just because we share mermaiding as a common interest does not automatically guarantee that everybody can become like BFFs. I feel like this needs to be just said just super quick, because I've seen it happen like a couple of times just around where people assume just because we have this one thing in common that it's like, okay, now we're best friends forever and here's all this, you know, and you're like, oh no, fundamentally different people, oh no, you know what I'm saying? So please don't feel bad if somebody doesn't necessarily agree with everything that you have to say just because you share mermaiding in common. We find this all the time in amongst a couple of people that I'm friends with. We have differing opinions on different things. It doesn't mean that we're not friends. It just means that we have different opinions on these things. We're still like, you know what I mean? Am I being awkward? I hope I'm not being awkward. I just feel like it was something I had to say and get like off my chest. To kind of put the little bow tie on all of that, like friendships are formed over time, over getting to know people. I'll just use myself as an example. Like the me that you see on camera, I mean, very often I try to be like put together. I've got like the makeup on, I've got the hair, sort of something happening there. I try not to swear on my channel. I do sometimes on live streams occasionally drop a little something here and there. I am in person. If you were to meet me in person, I'm very loud, I'm very opinionated, I don't really like to take crap from people. I can be a bit snarky. I'm not really making myself sound like a really good person here, am I? But just know that it's really hard to make an assumption about somebody if you've only ever seen them on the internet. So when you do finally get to meet people, don't, or try not to, because I don't want to sound like I know all this great wisdom and stuff, but try not to put unreasonable expectations on somebody, especially if they have like an online presence and you're getting together with them for like a pod swim for the first time or whatever. That's important. And you will also, I'm sure one day you'll feel the same way. You'll be in somebody else's shoes. Well, you'll be hopefully in your shoes, but maybe you will have like an online presence and then you will end up meeting other people and maybe they'll put those unreasonable expectations on you and you'll be like, this isn't me. I can't live up to this. Like, that's just too much, you know? Okay, so to sum up, as you go about your mermaid journey online, in the community, out there at conventions, the whole thing, remember to be safe, be true to yourself, listen to your gut, always please. I hate the number of times in my life, I could make a whole video on this, I hate the number of times in my life where my gut has actually been spot on, and had I listened, life would have turned out so much differently. Okay, so listen to your gut. If something doesn't feel right, definitely don't do it. Always let people know where you are, especially if you're gonna go out and meet new mermaids and new people and have a new experience and that kind of thing. Safety, 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 safety. I sound like a crazy person, okay? I watch too much Mile Higher podcast, I'm sorry. But like, one too many like murder mysteries for Courtney, okay? But like, safety first. Why you can avoid a situation by a simple text or a phone call to let somebody know where you're gonna be at. So making new mermaid friends can be an absolutely wonderful thing. I hope I didn't make it sound too scary. It's not that it's scary, I just want you guys to be safe. That's all that I really care about. You're part of my pod too, even though, you know, a lot of us are just online hanging out. You guys are definitely part of my family, and I care about you all, and I want you all to have good online experiences and good swims with your future pods, wherever they may be, and your future mer friends, swimming, having a good time, making memories, forging friendships, you know, the whole My Little Pony tagline. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join the pod if you haven't already. And otherwise, I wish you all the best trying to find friends to swim with. I know it's not always easy, but hang in there, you can do it. And don't forget that a simple Google search can save you a lot of time asking people and trying to figure things out. It's a good place to start. And I love you all my fishes. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in my next video. Happy swimming! Bye!